Aviation is proof that given the will, we have the capacity to achieve the impossible. Swift, and sure. On Aviation Corps. Army Aviation Corps is an amalgamation of diverse influences and traditions of both the aviation and the Army. It has taken the battlefield into the third dimension. Army Aviation represents the zeal of young officers ready to take to the air for their motherland and to keep the Army Aviation flag flying high. Army Aviation has extended the reach of the Field Force Commander on ground into a third dimension. It uses ground without being hindered by its inherent obstructions and the terrain friction, thus enhancing the Field Force Commander's area of influence in the battlefield. Army Aviation today is a complete solution to a Field Force Commander's time and space problems.
Army Aviation Corps, with its precise and incisive firepower, speed and maneuverability in the third dimension, and close integration with the other arms, becomes the ultimate force multiplier in the hand of the Field Force Commander. Army Aviation today is self-sufficient and is capable of technologistically supporting its operation. It is an elite arm and has been identified as the arm of the future.
The concept of air observation post was first conceived during World War I, where artillery officers took to the air in simple and rudimentary flying machines to get access to areas which could not be seen from the ground. Their survival, however, depended on avoiding the enemy with their superior flying skills. During the 1965 Indo-Pak War, the aviators distinguished themselves by undertaking missions deep inside enemy territory, despite the presence of enemy fighter aircraft and radars. 1971 Indo-Pak War was a definitive example of superb coordination between the attacking fighters, bombers, and the airborne fire controllers. The aviators skillfully weaved in and out of the melee of battle, using all their skills, and accounted for the destruction of innumerable Pakistani tanks. On 1st November 1986 came the momentous day when Army Aviation Corps was finally raised. The Army had its own fleet of helicopters flown by the Army Aviators and operationally supported by the Corps of E&E for maintenance, AOC for logistics, ASC for supply, and AMC for medical cover. 664th Army Aviation Squadron, along with 3 reconnaissance and observation flights, was inducted as part of Indian peacekeeping forces in Sri Lanka in 1987. The Corps proved its mettle and emerged from the conflict high on morale and with enhanced professional and operational acumen. Operation Vijay, conducted by Indian Army, showcased the professionalism and synergy of aviation with the ground forces. Aviators of Army Aviation displayed guts and glory seldom found in the annals of modern warfare, operating helicopters at the limit of the capabilities of both man and machine, at altitudes ranging up to 17,000 feet or more, where even eagles do not dare to venture out. The motivated aviators of Army Aviation influenced the course of the battle despite all odds stacked against them. More than 2,500 missions were flown in a short duration, and nearly 900 casualties were evacuated in the short span of the war. Operation Vijay was the finest hour of Army Aviation. Army Aviation has been the lifeline of our ground forces deployed in Siachen in Operation Meghdoot. In an area where even the flora and fauna refuse to exist, the mere sight of a helicopter approaching has a tremendous effect on the morale of troops deployed in these inhospitable mountains, far away from civilization and their loved ones. Aviators of the Army Aviation have also quickly adapted themselves to operating in counter-insurgency operations in Operation Rakshak. This has ensured that the troops operating on ground have continuous and omnipresent air support to ease the operations in hostile environments. Cheetah helicopters mounted with a helicopter-mounted surveillance system are used extensively to carry out surveillance and gain vital information in the Kashmir Valley. This information is passed in real time to troops on ground to carry out successful operations. Small team insertion and extrication, or STI operations as they are called, can now be carried out both by day and night, which has led to superlative results. Army Aviation also has the unique distinction of operating in Somalia as part of United Nations operations in Somalia, UNOSOM 2, and in Congo as part of MONUSCO. It has undertaken various tasks like casualty evacuation, convoy protection, airborne air controller, insertion and extrication of troops, and communication missions in the face of heavy opposition and ground fire by the militia men. Army Aviation is an integral component of the land power of the nation. Its primary mission is to be part of the land battle and undertake operations in sync with the ground forces.
आज के मिशन के लिए हमारे को 202 एविएशन स्क्वाड्रन के 2 हेप्टर्स
It operates within the framework of a ground force commander's plan and greatly enhances the commander's ability to apply the basic fundamentals of war maneuver, surprise and economy. Army Aviation as a maneuver force is the centerpiece of the third dimension for the land forces. The task for aviation during attack operations include destruction of enemy infantry or armor, suppression of enemy air defense, joint air attack team, limited air combat, and destruction of important enemy administrative and logistics installations. Army Aviation helicopters enable the tactical movement of troops in assault role both for offensive and defensive operations. The lift capability of Army Aviation assets give it the ability to carry troops, weapons, equipment, material and logistic stores over distances at speed, avoiding enemy opposition and natural man-made obstacles. Army aviators have made their fellow countrymen proud and acquitted themselves with glory wherever called upon by the civil authorities for rendering assistance to the public in times of natural calamities like floods, earthquakes or tsunamis. Flood relief carried out by 201 Army Aviation Squadron during flash floods in Bihar and 203 Army Aviation Squadron and 666 Reconnaissance and Observation Squadron during the floods in Leh is a testimony to the diligence with which the Army Aviation lived up to the expectations of their fellow countrymen in their hour of need. During the earthquake in Kashmir, 663 Reconnaissance and Observation Squadron undertook innumerable missions and was instrumental in saving thousands of lives. It is possible to fly without motors, but not without knowledge and skill. Be it war or peace, an Army aviator's training never stops. Continuous and rigorous training ensures honing of the skills of an Army aviator. Army Aviation's alma mater is located at Nasik in the form of Combat Army Aviation Training School. This establishment has cocooned, nurtured and churned out numerous highly skilled and professional soldiers of the sky since time immemorial. All Army aviators undergo a rigorous schedule of training which is divided into 3 phases, namely the Pre-Army Pilot Course at Combat Army Aviation Training School, ab initio training at either Basic Flying Training School at Allahabad, Rotary Wing Academy at Bangalore, or the Army Aviation Squadron at Jhansi. Finally, after undergoing the Combat Aviator course, the successful officers get their well-deserved, coveted wings in a passing out parade at the school. A state-of-the-art cheetah helicopter simulator has been installed in Combat Army Aviation Training School at Nasik. Aviators are exposed to various terrain conditions, weather, emergencies and maneuvers so as to equip the aviator in handling any situation once he takes to the air. Every takeoff is optional, but to have a 100% safety record, a safe landing is mandatory. Maintenance of aircrafts is the largest contributor towards flight safety. The maintenance activities need to be of the highest standard to ensure incident-free flying. Flight safety shall always remain the cornerstone of all aviation operations. Army Aviation has maintained an impressive flight safety profile over the years and continues to do so. The quest for improving standards and strong ethos and culture never stops. With the increase in the requirement of aviators in the Army Aviation, gentlemen cadets from Indian Military Academy, Dehradun, and Officers Training Academy, Chennai, are being directly inducted into the Army Aviation Corps. Army Aviation has also inducted the first batch of lady officers as air traffic controllers. Army Aviation is the future of battle, and battlefield demands operations to be carried out 24/7. Advanced light helicopter Dhruv has already given a boost to the capabilities of Army Aviation. Army will have its own aerial platform in the form of Light Combat Helicopter LCH and ALH-WSI named Rudra, which means one who can kill the forces of darkness or the fierce god, conforming to its profile and envisaged role. These helicopters have the capability to carry anti-tank guided missiles, air-to-air missiles, rockets and bombs.
Induction of new range of helicopters has already enhanced the operational capability of the Army for maneuver in the 3rd dimension. With the ongoing modernization, I am confident that the Army Aviation Corps will be the arm of decision in the future. I would like to wish the Army Aviation fraternity and their families the very best for all their endeavors in the future. Happy landings. Jai Hind.
Army Aviation Corps has had a great past, a present full of action and responsibilities, and a future which promises even better services to our great nation. Army Aviation has always lived up to its motto, swift and sure, and will continue to do so in the future to be a true force multiplier in the third dimension. The Falcon will strike when never called upon by its brethren to act, and act it will with such swiftness and sureness that the aggressor will be bewildered and devastated. It is a matter of little time when Army Aviation will be the arm of the era and a force to reckon with.